Hi all, good evening. This is Chaitanya. So this is in continuation with what we saw in part 3 of BI automation benefits. Now we are talking about what are the testing activities that happens in BI. The first testing activity that happens is ETL layer. ETL is extract, transform and load layer. So we have the data flow diagram which is from the part 1, and where we see the source system, then stage, then we have ETW enterprise warehouse, and then reporting layer. So now first thing is the validation that happens in the BI like ETL layer. The first thing is source system versus SF, meaning it's Snowflake database. So we compare the data between different hops. So you can consider like this is the step 1, step 2 is in continuation with that, and this you can consider as a hops, 1 hop, 2 hop, 3 hop, 4, and so on and so forth. So there is a check that happens in each stage of the hops as to ensure the data is being passed correctly, or are there any kind of problems with the data, in order to verify the data in our target system is correct or not. So first thing we do between the source and the Snowflake a stage. So basically where what we do, we connect to the source system, get the data and at the same time, along the same time, we connect to our Snowflake system, and for that particular table we get the data out of it, and we compare the data between two source systems, like what are the counts, what are the count of records available here. For example, student table, we have a count like count of records where table name is equal to student, we get 30 records, and where we in the Snowflake we also count for that student table how many records we have for that student table. So if we get 30 records, that means we say the record count between source and Snowflake stage is correct. If we ended up getting some less number of records or more number of records, then there must be issue, so that needs to be analysis further. Second type of validation that we do between the data validation, actual data, column by column validation between source system and Snowflake stage, meaning if you get, let's say, ABC as your name in student database in source system, and if you ended up getting null in our Snowflake stage as a name of that student, then there must be a problem. So that kind of a data comparison is also happen for all the data that is present in our source system, and this is an iterative process for each table that we currently do. For example, student will be one of the table, then department will be another table. So whatever source system that you connect, you need to do all this kind of a validation from source system to Snowflake stage, and it's repeated and it's time consuming. A second validation that happens between Snowflake stage to ETW, so where we check how many records we have in Snowflake and in stage database are got to our ETW enterprise data warehouse. So based on the transformation that are provided by the design team or by the business team, what kind of data that you want to transform. So all this kind of validation, again, it's done to the SQL query that was built against this stage and ETW, where we see how many records we have in stage and how many records we have in ETW. So once we run ETL, basically transform load, which transform record from stage to ETW, we check, okay, let's say in stage we have 30 records. So now in ETW, we also expect some 30 records to be moved, considering some of the business rules is that every record should go to our target system. So now let's say 30 of 30 records got moved to the ETW, that means our validation passes. We also validate the data by data type. For example, student name here is ABC in stage. We check in ETW the student table, in the d_student table the name is ABC. If it is a different, then we need to do analysis why it is coming as different. So all these kind of checks are validated between Snowflake stage and ETW as to make sure the data of the quality of the data is in sync. We are not losing any kind of records. So that's all we have for the ETL layer validations. So now in the upcoming sessions, we'll talk about what are the validations that happened in the reporting layer. Thanks a lot for watching. Thank you. Bye.